At this year's Bergen Summer Research School, we have talked a lot about local action and global challenges. Today we are at Landås, a neighborhood south of the city center here in Bergen, to visit a local organization that has worked a lot on this. Sustainable living at Landås. Hi, Viveka.
Hi, Håvard.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Yeah, welcome. Come on in.
Thank you.
So this wall illustrates how we work.
And I see the Sustainable Development Goals here. They're familiar to us at Bergen Summer Research School. So can you tell me about what they mean for how you work?
Absolutely. We work very strategically out from the Sustainable Development Goals. And our two main goals to work from is to stop the climate change and to create a better quality of life, which comes into the good health goal. And I mean, all of our activities could probably be squeezed into the stop the climate change goal, but because they also fit into a lot of other goals, so we spread them out. And the reason why this wall is organized like this is that it illustrates how we think. And the inner circle here, near the goals, shows our vision for how we want to do things or what we want to be. And then the next circle is our strategy for how to do it. And then projects that are developed on the basis of these strategies, and then activities and events that are organized.
So what does this mean in practice?
Well, you could, for example, look at the goal for sustainable cities and communities. And here our vision is to create ultra-local green city development. And we do that by treating the cities and neighborhoods as living laboratories where we can test projects on a low scale and involve people in it. And here you could see, for example, in the goal of less inequality, that this is the way we invite people to participate, actually, because our vision is that every person should be seen as a resource. And everybody can come and be a part of changing the world with their own ideas in the place where they live. So, well, that's the vision. And then our strategy is to create new common arenas in neighborhoods and be inclusive. And some of the projects that have come out of that is creating a roof garden that we will go and look at later. An allotment garden, and we, for example, one of the events are like social co-working in an edible forest that we have established up in this neighborhood.
And I understand this organization has spread across the country.
Yes, it has. Come, I can show you here. On this map you can see all the different local departments, and we started here in Landås. That's the neighborhood where we're in now. And all of this network has spread organically because when people participate, many people find it really meaningful and useful to be a part of, so they want to create these groups in their own neighborhoods. And our model is totally open source, so anybody who wants to follow these two main goals of lowering the ecological footprint and raising the quality of life can just take ownership of the entire model and start it up and be a part of the network. So, yeah, it has spread a lot all over Norway.
Great. Can we look at some concrete projects?
Absolutely. Let me show you. So now we are here at the roof garden, and this is a collaborative project between this senior center and 3 kindergartens in the neighborhood. And what we did here was to ask them, how can you cooperate about growing vegetables or edible plants in order to make a better quality of life for both the children and the elderly?
So kindergartens come here and maintain these gardens.
Exactly. So we had architect students who built the boxes to be fit for wheelchair users and for kids to be able to actually grow vegetables. And what's happening here is that, the kindergartens, as you say, they come in and they have responsibility for growing vegetables and the herbs in these boxes. And the elderly people who live here, they have a lot of pleasure in having the children visiting, and they sing songs together. And the elderly also teach the children about growing vegetables because they used to do that when they were younger.
So this benefits both the kids and the elderly.
Absolutely. And they have this really nice meetings where they actually also cook these vegetables and eat together.
So now we've moved from the roof garden and up here into the forests. And what are we going to see here?
This area, we can come in here and have a look. This entire area is established as an edible forest. And it was started about 8 years ago. And it's all based on permacultural principles, so that most of the plants that grow here are planted like next to each other so that they give each other nourishment and you don't need to use fertilizers. And that also means, and they're perennial, so it means that you don't need to actually put in a lot of work to grow the food that you eat. So, and this has been an experiment also to see what kind of plants can we grow that we can actually eat in this climate in west of Norway. Because as you see, this is June, but there's still not a lot of strawberries ready to eat, and so we need to figure out how to do this.
So people come here to learn how to grow their own food?
Yeah, and they meet each other, and so this has also become like a very popular place to do the co-working, to make things work, this Norwegian dugnad that we talk about a lot, that we love.
So by coming here, people get an attachment, I guess, to the food that they eat.
Yeah, exactly, and that's part of the point, to learn how much it takes to grow the food that you eat, because when we used to buy everything in the store, then we don't really understand all the effort and energy that's put into it. And this forest is also open for everybody to come and participate in the growing, and anybody can actually also come and pick food if they want to try to eat some of the plants that are growing here.
So Landås can be completely self-sufficient in food then, I guess, in a few years.
That's let's make that a goal.
So we've been around and looked at some of your concrete projects. And then I wonder, how did this all begin?
Well, it actually began with 4 neighbors sitting around a kitchen table drinking coffee and being really worried about the state of the world. And this was back in 2008. But they kind of decided that it's so bad and somebody needs to do something. And then they looked at each other and one of them said, well, maybe we're somebody. Maybe we should do something.
So you were 4 neighbors, but how did you get other people on board?
Yeah, well, you know, it's like environmentalism has been associated a lot with like restrictions and shaming and protests for a long time, right? So we kind of started thinking, how can we turn that around? And the first thing we did after deciding that we are someone and we have to do something is that we threw a party.
Best way to begin.
The best way to begin, right? Because then we were thinking that, we want to take this climate cause from protests to parties. Yeah? And, well, the thing is that when you gather people around something that's fun, it's a lot easier to motivate each other to do something serious. Yeah? So while having this first street party where we just invited all the neighbors to bring food and their own chairs, and it was nothing big, but then we had this opportunity to start talking about what can we actually do together to create a better world in the place we live. So that's kind of how it started.
So you're not trying to change people's minds, you're trying to bring them on board to actually do something.
Yeah, exactly. Because, well, we also don't really believe in these campaigns to change people's attitudes by giving information or telling people what to do, basically. And especially not using this pointed finger saying you should and you shouldn't, but rather create action and to go like from action to attitudes. Because when you do something and you invest your own time and energy in it, then it affects the way you think, and it even affects the way you think of yourself. So it changes people's identities. So people start thinking of themselves as, well, it could be like, I'm a person who ride my bicycle to work every day, or I'm a person who grow my own vegetables, and I'm a person who creates good community feelings. And so what happens? You can think that this is okay, this is small scale, it is private, and maybe it doesn't have a lot of effect. But the thing is, when people change the way they think about themselves, they also take this identity with them to the place where they work, or the government they work in, or the university they work at, and they start taking decisions based on that identity. So it has a lot of ripple effects even. Yeah.
So we look around us, and there are populist leaders in many countries, including big countries, who are not that concerned about climate change or sustainability. We have the corona crisis that has brought our attention to more sort of immediate issues, just stopping the disease. In this situation, how do we maintain positivism and how do we maintain energy for this kind of change?
I think it's very important to always tell the good stories and show all the good things that are happening, because it is easy to feel overwhelmed and feel that you can't do anything because you're only one person, right? And there are so many bad news everywhere. But when so many people do little things every day, it really has an impact. And this initiative is also part of a larger movement called Transition. And there you can see, there's a map of this, and you can see how many of these initiatives exist all around the world. And then you kind of get the picture of when so many people do something every day, it really creates a change.
So what's next for sustainable living at Landås? What are your future plans?
Well, we have a lot of future plans, actually. And here at Landås, we have our headquarters, which we have established as a national center for sustainable transition, where we are developing also kind of larger projects than these very local ones. So I can mention, for example, that we are setting up now a laboratory where we are experimenting with how you can use industrial waste from the industries in this area to create bioplastics that can potentially replace fossil-based plastics in the same industries. So it's like a circular economy mindset and actually creating prototypes. So, and then we have, for example, we are looking at how we can create community negotiations actually with power companies to be able to have solar panels on the roofs in the neighborhoods, because it's very hard for private people to go into that investment and make the choice. But when you are many people together, it's kind of easier to get it done. Yeah, and we also created like something called a food collective, where you were able to get food from the farmers in the local area, and people could buy it directly from farmers. So there's a lot going on, and we want to spread this model of inviting people into changing their own lives all over Norway and anywhere else, actually.
And then I wonder, so Bergen Summer Research School, of course, gathers scientists, young scientists and academics. And what is the role of research and science and academics in this transition that you're trying to stimulate?
There has been a lot of research done on us, and we've been interviewed a lot. And I've seen, like, for example, Per Espen Stoknes, who has written about a lot about climate change and how we think about it. He has created some theories that now are very useful for us to look at. So we can structure our work better, actually. So it comes back.
So it's been like a dialogue between you and academics.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very useful.